once it goes.
Gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
What's up, guys? What's up? Here with doing another Deck Talk podcast chat with Norman Lee and Colin Burnett. I am Colin Burnett.
And I am Norman Lee.
Heck yeah, brother. Heck yeah. Man, we've got some great comments to talk about today, don't we? So,
man, we sure do, man. Great week. We had an awesome week, dude.
Yeah, it's been a great. So far, we've got one person. What's up, David Lauer? You doing good, brother?
David, how you doing, brother?
We want to come on here. We're doing this weekly. We thoroughly enjoy doing this, and man, I look forward to doing this every week. Don't you?
Yeah, man, we're having a blast at it, and it's some good times. And hey, we talk fishing. We can do this all day.
All day. Let's kind of talk about what we done last week a little bit. First thing is last Monday was a big day for us at Deck Talk Podcast. We what did we do? You know what we done Monday? We had we done the chat with Norman Lee and Colin, but right after that we shot what? Our first episode.
Oh yeah, shoot, yeah.
Man,
you got me something for me. Yeah, we shot our first episode of the Deck Talk Podcast.
Heck yeah. We had Josh Antoine with Chatta Hookums on the podcast, and it was great. It was a phenomenal show. Got a lot of tips and wisdom from a guy that he guides, and you can really tell just talking to him the knowledge that he has about smallmouth fishing on the river, and then the difference in between smallmouth fishing on a river and going after largemouths on a body like a lake.
Yeah, he gave a lot of great insight. I mean, really some really good insight, really great knowledge on smallmouth fisheries up here, and kind of the differences between the bodies of water up here, and what they're generating as far as the smallmouth and the largemouth is concerned.
Exactly. Before we go into any farther, if you can let us know in the comments that you are here with us. We're wanting the purpose of doing this chat with Norman Lee and Colin Burnett is we want to interact with the viewers. So with that being said, we want to be able to reach out and reach out to as many people as possible. So if you can leave a comment saying that you're here, we'll chit chat back and forth. And if you have any questions for us, just go on and feel free to ask the questions, and we'll answer your questions. So with that being said, going back to Josh Antoine, we actually, after doing the podcast with him, we actually went out fishing with him, didn't we?
Yep. Spent a day on the water with Josh, and he's a great friend, a great fisherman. One of the, I don't know, a bit partial, but he is the best guide up here in this area.
Yeah, he is for sure. We'll move this around real quick. We got. We'll talk more about it, but we finally got our cups in.
Yeah.
But with that being said, man, we thoroughly enjoyed. We caught a bunch of fish, had some big ones come off. What's up, Dustin Rogers? You doing good, brother?
Dustin.
But we caught a bunch of fish, and so had some bits that we had at the boat get off. We had one that we kind of got tangled up in a couple rods with 2 hook sets going at once. That was it was a sight to see. Wish we would have had our cameras going at that time.
But we missed both the fish, by the way.
Yeah,
too.
missed both of them. But Norman and I, this past Friday with my dad, hey, Dad, I got my dad on here.
What's up, Steve Burnett?
Oh,
About
man.
to talk about you.
And we got John Pate. What do you know, John?
What's up, John?
Good?
Let me interrupt for one second. John Pate, very good buddy of mine. Me and John go way back to back in the day with Tuscarora Pro Lures, and a shout out to Earl Carswell as well. But John, very great guy. John is a legend down in the Everglades. John has been guiding the Everglades for, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but probably over 40 years. And he is a legend and an icon down there. So thanks. Great to have you on here, John, with us.
Yeah. We do like to see him come on here. But again, we went fishing Friday at a buddy of mine's pond in Middle Tennessee. I called him up and asked him, hey, can we come and fish? And we're wanting to shoot a video talking about going back to our roots. We just posted the videos. We've done some shorts here the past couple of days, but both Norman Lee and myself just posted probably about an hour and a half ago to 2 hours. We posted the video up on our YouTube. So go look at that video. It is a great video. And we thoroughly enjoyed doing it. And
it's up on Norman Lee Fishing and CMB Bass in 1983. So go to those channels and check that video out. It just got uploaded like 20 minutes ago.
No, it was about an hour and a half or so.
Yeah, right in that area.
But again, let's see. John Pate said, very happy to see you guys succeeding. It is always fun when it's fishing involved. Keep up your faith. I guess I'll see you soon down south, Norman. I'm correct.
Yeah.
So when you go down south, you got to always holler at old John. So we got old Pete on. So welcome, Pete. So again, if you have any comments and stuff, want to say hey to us, just leave it down in the comments. We are seeing the comments, and if you have any questions for us, we will be more than glad to answer your questions. And today is kind of some of our topics is more trying to get y'all's feedback on it too, not just what we think. So we want to get y'all involved as much as possible because we thoroughly enjoy having y'all get involved. So with that video, it turned out great. It's probably one of the best ones that we've done in a while. That I say, well, for me, I haven't really done too much long form videos. One, just because trying to get the podcast going, my work schedule, and I've been able to do a lot of shorts and stuff. So I enjoyed doing that, but it was nice to kind of get back to the long form stuff. So,
and it's been a while since we actually put out an extended longer form video. We've been so tied up with, we have a lot of other things, a lot of stuff on our plate right now. We're trying to get the podcast going, our weekly chat going. And, And now with our production company, we have a lot of irons in the fire. So it was great to get back out on the water, or in this case, the bank and the pond, and actually do a longer version video.
Exactly. We got Sean is watching. Sean is one of our guides on the USA Guide fishing list. So go check out that page on Facebook. He's one of the guides on there. He's been posting some pictures of what he's been doing. They've been smashing some fish. So we also have Rocky Stokes on. What's up, brother? And he's been pretty loyal to us with all these come on, and it's been on pretty much every single one of them that we've done. So let's go talking about the video. We have it up on our YouTube channels, so it is great. We're actually doing this live is actually going on our Deck Talk podcast YouTube channel. So if y'all can please go to YouTube and go and pull up Deck Talk podcast and like and subscribe. We're going to be getting all these chats with Norman Lee and Colin Burnett put on there to where it's going to help fill up and do like episodes in between when we've got our special guests, because the guests that were coming on, we're having to figure out the timing for them with their schedule and our schedule to be able to get the best results, or not results, but to get to where it best links up to where we can get them on. So what we're doing is, instead of just calling it Chat with Norman Lee and Colin Burnett, we're calling it Deck Talk Podcast Chat with Norman Lee and Colin Burnett. So again, go subscribe to that YouTube channel, Deck Talk Podcast. Dennis Crenshaw is on. He said, "Good afternoon, my brothers from another mother." What's up, brother?
What's up, Mr. Dennis?
So, and we got Michael from Ben Olay Lures.
Hey, Michael.
So, hey, Michael, we appreciate you coming on here, brother. Like always, we thoroughly enjoy throwing some Ben Olay lures that he hand paints. Some things are the best. So look him up as well on Facebook, Ben Olay Lures. And I guarantee you will not be disappointed. We have Jay Moore is on. What's up, brother?
Hey, Jay.
We actually have a question from John Pate. Says, "I have a question for you, gentlemen. Since I have asked this of me all the time, which size hooks do you prefer for the big worms like the big nasty and worms of other size?"
I'll take that one right there.
That's a
great question, John. And believe it or not, I mean, you really don't have to worry about believing it or not. It's a pretty common question that I kind of get all the time. And a lot of people think when you're using those long worms, like the big nasty bruiser bait, it is a 14.25-inch worm, big beefy worm. A lot of people think when you use a big worm like that, you want to use a really big hook, like a 6, 7, 8-aught hook. I stay away from it. Here's the reason. When the bigger the hook you put in, now I pretty much, any of my worms or my soft plastics that is really 7-inch and larger, even in the 14.2, even into 14, 15, if you use a 16-inch worm, or really long ones, I still like to stay with a 5-aught hook. And the reason for that is, but I'll take it one step further. What I will do, just when a bass eats a worm, okay, whether it's a 6-inch worm or a 14-inch worm, 99.9% of the time, the bass is always going to eat that worm head first. You know, and I'm not going to say they'll never come up from the tail and eat it tail first, but a very low percentage that they will actually eat the worm tail first. Normally, when they consume the worm, they basically eat it head first. Now, what I will do, just as it is such a long worm, is I will actually run the offset shank of the hook down about 1 inch down the worm, so it puts it a little bit further back to the belly. But I like to use a wide gap on them larger worms because the body of the worm is so large. So I use a wide gap, and it seems like you'll increase your hook set to fish ratio if you use a wide gap versus the straight shank, especially on the long worms. But I still use only a 5/0 on those big worms, and the main reason is the bigger the hook you use on the larger worm, the more natural action that the worm normally has. It's gonna lower or diminish the action of the worm. The heavier the hook you use, the bigger the hook, the heavier the hook, the lower the action of the natural action of that worm is going to be. So I like to say as small as I can, but I still use a 5/0 on most every worm, other than like your real your finesse type stuff. But I do run it about 1 inch down just to put it a little bit further back, and use the 5/0 hook, run about 1 inch down versus right at the head. Normally, you shouldn't have any issues connecting with the fish when they eat it. And remember too, fish normally always will hit a worm, whether it's a 4 inch worm or a 14-inch worm, head first. Very seldom they're going to come up from behind and hit it tail first. Not saying that they never will, but 99.9% they're always going to hit it with it. And here's the thing with a 14.25-inch or any size worm, 10-inch, 14-inch worm, once they hit it head first, all they're going to do is just like that, and the whole worm, the whole 14 inches of that worm is inside their mouth, including the hook. So good question,
question,
John. And believe me, I get that question quite often.
Yeah, I kind of go a little. I throw either a 4 or a 5. To be honest with you, I really like the 4/0 hooks. When I throw Texas rig, anything Texas rig, I throw a 4/0 hook. Bigger worms, I might go to a 5, but I kind of do like the same thing that Norman does. I will bring, I probably go about 1.5 inches down to where it does bring that hook down a little bit. It's doing the same purpose of what Norman was saying, is it brings that hook down into the belly of the worm, and so I feel like with the bigger hooks that one, when you do the hook set and stuff and it actually penetrates into the roof of their mouth, the bigger hooks does not allow for too much of, like, if they come up and jump,
Yeah,
it moves too much, and then it just makes the hole bigger. So I've lost personally, that I've lost more fish with a bigger hook when I'm trying to do that. So I try to stay in between the 4 and the 5. So
and again, the bigger the hook you use, and that's the number one question people have with large baits, is they automatically think with just say a 14-inch worm that you need to use a 7/8 odd hook. That's really not. And again, and the bigger the hook used, the more weight that hook's going to carry. The lower the is going to decrease the actual the natural action that the bait's going to have. The more weight you add to that bait. So I typically stay 5/0 because it is a bigger worm. I like to say 5/0. But if you run it like Colin was saying, I was saying run it about 1 inch down the head, so it puts it a little bit further back down. You should never have any issues. And again, the fish is normally going to hit it from the head first anyway.
And we got Rusty on here. Rusty, what's up, brother? Thanks for joining us. We also, again, like with the bigger hooks, they're beefier, they're fatter, and stuff like that. You're also, it's going to, it's the hook set. You're going to have to, the bigger the hook, the harder the hook set on. So especially you want something that once you set the hook. I mean, Norman and I would we have, I think, it's pretty strong hook sets, but if you don't penetrate that the hook all the way into them, then you're pretty much just holding on by a thread. So I want to make sure that when I hook set that fish, that it's getting into the boat.
And excuse me, especially with those longer worms too, because with the longer worms, you got more rubber for that hook to. Actually, here's another tip that I use, and I use this tip whether I'm fishing a big stick, a 6-inch big stick, or if I'm fishing the big nasty. Uh, I will actually, when I put my hook into the worm or the soft plastic, I'll actually run the barb all the way out and then run it back in,
and
because
just
that way
skin tag it.
yeah. Well, I don't even skin tag it. I'll actually run it right back in the worm.
All right, what? Because I'll run it out, and then I'll lift up the plastic and just poke the tip of the hook into the plastic, because all I really want, as soon as that tip or that plastic's gone, it's just a fraction of an inch to where it's already sticking in them.
Exactly, but like what I did, I actually run it all the way out and then run it back in, because a lot of those big worms are so beefy that you really can't run it and lay it on like you would a soft plastic twitch bait or a swim bait. You could actually they're a little bit different, where you could actually lay the barb on top of it, come all the way out and then skin hook the point.
Right.
But you get that hole created, and makes it a lot easier on your hook set too, because those worms are so beefy.
Right.
You want something there where it makes it easier for that worm to come through and pierce the fish.
Exactly. Now, Dennis Crenshaw says, do we have a picture of the hooks? We do not have, I don't have a hook. I don't think Norman has the hooks with me. That was just a question that John Pate asked us, and we were not prepared for that question. So, but we might be able to the next week. We're going to do this. Norman's actually going to be in South Florida starting Wednesday. You're leaving Wednesday,
leaving
right?
Wednesday morning. I'll be down there Wednesday afternoon.
So doing some guide trips down there. So if you're wanting a guide trip down in Central Florida, look up Norman. And if you want if you want looking for bass guide, look up Norman. If you're looking for the best crappie guide in the state of Florida, Dennis Crenshaw is on the chat. Look him up, or you can even just message him on this chat. And he will hook you up. He is by far the best crappie guide,
hands down,
in the state of Florida. So, but let's talk. We want y'all to get involved in this question right here. I was thinking about this, just thinking about doing some what we can do to kind of interact with y'all. And this question popped up thinking about tournaments and stuff like that I have fished. And let's talk about what is funny weigh-in lines talk. Like, how many times, like, you're in the weigh-in line, Norman, that you hear somebody say, man, I had this 5-pounder all the way up to the boat, but it came off. There's always that kind of talk. Well, if you had that 5-pounder all the way up to the boat, they try to blame the fish, or they blame the hooks, or whatever. My net man screwed this up. But so we want to hear what your funny weigh-in line talk is. Like, again, the net man did not get to it. Only thing that was biting was little. The fish just did not cooperate with me, So, I mean, we have, there's a list of them that we can do, but we want to see what y'all's the weigh-in chatter, that people talk about, that they did not, the fish didn't do, or something happened. I could not bring in this big fish that I had. I like the one that says, I was sight fishing, but I could not get them to bite. Or I swung on the one that was bedding up, and they just wouldn't take it.
Yeah.
Well, funny thing about when you're bed fishing is fish don't take the bait when they're bed fishing. All they do is just pick it up and just move it off the bed. They don't want it on the bed.
When you're sight fishing, timing is everything.
It is. It is.
And here's the thing also is if you actually swing too late and it's already halfway out coming out the fish's mouth when you swing and you stick her, it's done.
It is.
So you got to get that timing down right. So when you swing, you don't miss.
Yeah. So yeah, that's one thing I like listening to is the people just they're griping, complaining about the day. There's always some reason why somebody sucked at the tournament.
Oh, exactly.
So we enjoy or I enjoy the little chit chat back and forth. So what is the funniest thing that y'all have heard on during the tournament, during the weigh-in lines?
Yeah.
So yeah, Dennis posted on here his website for his charter. And so it is Lake Placid Freshwater Charter and Guides.com. Yeah. So, but let's move on down. Why people, and we'll go back if people comment on the funny weigh-in lines. Norman, what's the next thing you want to? Because we've seen this here recently a couple times.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about boat ramp fails. And if you hang out at the boat ramp long enough during the day, you're gonna see some boat ramp fails, and it's funny, but I guess you could say it's embarrassing to the people that's having the fail, I guess.
Well,
but
I think they just don't realize, since we go to the ramp, 4 or 5 times a week, and even people that are just weekend anglers, they're just so they go to enough. They know how to back and put a boat in and take a boat out. But these people that you see mainly here in probably about a month and a half, 2 months, you're going to start seeing it. They're going to start seeing where the what's up, Brian Backer? You doing good,
hey,
brother?
Brian?
Man, glad to have you on here, and we need to get you on our podcast to here pretty soon. So we need to chit chat with you about getting that going. Brian, he owns Southeast Tackle, some of the best soft baits that I have ever thrown. He's a whole lot different than any other soft plastics that you have. He actually designs, he makes the molds and molds them out. He tests them out to where before the first person even gets them, he's already tried them out for months. And I thoroughly enjoy throwing his technique worms. Yeah. So and he's got some colors that would just blow your mind. Yeah. So we got Steve Dial on here.
Steve, what's up, dude? Bruiser bait man himself. Steve's down there. He's probably watching us and watching this as he's pouring. So he probably has Steve Dial over there pouring them as we speak, and we got Devin Chisholm Dial right behind him, probably boxing him back as Steve's pouring them. So,
but we actually had some of the Bruiser bait stuff during the video they shot.
Yep.
So, but but let's go back to boat ramp fails. Let's see. Hold on. Steve Dial says, "Hey guys, great show. Since Valentine's Day is coming up, should we get our wives a Meg Minnow or Big Nasty asking for
this is a G-rated show, guys. G-rated show.
He's throwing some punches right here. He's giving good advice for us to
exactly, dude. Valentine's Day is on Tuesday, and if you notice, I'm leaving on Wednesday to head south. There's a reason for that. I was actually planning on leaving tomorrow, but wouldn't end up so well for me if I left on Valentine's Day. So
right,
the next day.
Brian Backus says that he'll back trailers for beer. So
you're right. Another thing about boat ramp, us as fishermen that's been doing it. So we've been doing it pretty much all our lives. we take a lot of that stuff for granted, how easy it comes to us. Where if you take just your typical weekend angler that might go to the lake with their boat once a month, they're not quite near as used to as where. I mean, we take things for granted that and think it should be so easy for everybody,
right?
Because it's just easy for us, but that's not really the case.
No, well, Memorial Day is going to be the day where you're really going to start seeing them. Is what you're going to see, and how you can spot one out at the get-go is you're going to see a brand new truck, still have drive-out tags, and a boat that's probably going to be like a Mamba boat or one of them big wakeboard boats that does not have any numbers on the bow of the boat. So that's going to be one real quick way.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, I've even thought about taking my GoPros down and just setting it up and just watching, because it is hilarious. If you're not trying to get in the water, it is hilarious trying to watch.
There is a guy, and my wife watches it on YouTube quite a bit. There is a guy that actually has a channel, and all he does all day long, 8 hours a day, is sit at the boat ramp. And
he's down in Miami.
I don't know where he is, but he doesn't make too many friends because he's had a few gestures thrown his way. But that's all he's doing is filming boat ramp fails. Yeah. But now I'll tell you a quick story, and this is a pretty epic boat ramp fail here. About I don't even know how long it is. Probably about 12, 13 years ago, fishing a tournament down on Lake Estepoga. I believe it might have been extreme. It was one of the trail tournaments, the monthly trail tournaments on Estepoga. I can't remember which one. But we had about 30 boats, and we're all lined up along the bank, not quite ready for blast off. And I was actually right next to the ramp where my boat was being set at Estepoga Park. And a couple gentlemen show up between all the tournament anglers. I think it was like a 18-foot aluminum boat, probably had like a 70 or 80, 90 horsepower kicker on the back of it. And they were towing it with a white, it looked like a brand new white Cadillac. And no offense to everyone in Michigan, but Michigan plates.
Yeah.
Okay.
No offense.
No,
we will offend any kind of Yankee at all. So.
Michigan plates. No offense there. But anyway, I started backing in. I'm sitting in my boat, going through GPS numbers and stuff like that. Of course, my driver's console is right next to the ramp. They're backing in, and all of a sudden, I hear tire squealing. Well, the owner of the boat's actually sitting in the boat, and I guess his buddy probably lived next door. His friend is backing him down. And next thing I hear freaking tires squealing like somebody's peeling out down the highway.
Yeah.
And I look over, and that car is going 80 miles an hour backwards. Well, if any of you know what the Estepoga Park ramp is, there's actually a concrete walkway or dock separating two ramps. The front of his car ended up at the very back side of the ramp, and it was probably in about 9 foot of water, dude. And when he went back, the trailer jackknifed underneath the car, and the car is slowly going down. And the guy is still sitting in the boat screaming at his friend, and it went back so hard it pushed the boat all the way to the catwalk on the other side. But when it done it, it took the transom out of the boat. So the guy's in the water in his boat sinking. The caddy's starting to go down, and a couple of the tournament competitors is trolling over to him, the guy, I guess, was so dazed and confused because both windows was up, and we're yelling at him, try to get your windows down, because once it goes below the batteries, nothing's probably going to work. All the electric will be shorted. So finally we got him to get his window down, and one of the tournament guys helped the guys slide out of the driver window onto the deck of the boat. But here's the thing. Of course, the tournament took off, so they called 911, the whole everything, probably tow truck stuff. Here's the thing. Could you picture the conversation that the owner of the caddy and the boat had with his wife on the phone?
Yeah.
It was like, honey, I got bad news and I got worse news.
I just hope they have insurance.
Yeah, right. What's the bad news? Right. Well, I just
have the caddy
I just sunk the caddy and the boat. Well, what's the worst news?
Yeah.
Well, I'm still alive, and then she'd probably get back
no
to him
more.
and say, "You get home, you get home, buddy," and that might not be the
Yeah.
case.
We've got Jonathan Hawkins. What's up, brother? And
No, Jonathan.
we got Earl Ross is on with us.
Earl.
Welcome, guys. Jonathan said, I've seen someone on the podcast flat on his back while trying to help another boater. And were you there with me when I done that?
I don't know, but I want to hear that story.
I don't know. We were fishing. I don't think you were. We were fishing out of Chickamauga Marine, just above the dam, and the wind was blowing, and it was late winter, early spring, and the wind was just howling. Well, we got our boats on the trailer fine. Well, there's this older couple from, I think they were from like Spring City, that came down. They just got this pontoon boat. They were wanting to just piddle around, just have fun and stuff like that. They went to go load their boat. The wind was blowing so much, and that they could not get it. And the lady, I mean, they were older couples, but I was like, I just can't leave. I knew that they were struggling. I could not leave the boat ramp knowing that I left them there struggling. So I went out there. I had my chacos on. I had my my bibs on, and I had on a hoodie. And so I went walking out there, and I hit that ramp. As soon as I hit that ramp, and it had like some of that algae crap that was on it, and I just went whoop, and I landed straight on my back. And thank goodness I got a hard head, because that would have hurt. But yeah, that's what happened. We did get the boat on there. The dude actually broke the line for his hitch to tighten it up. So I had to tie a knot on it to make it work. I mean, they had just a rough day, and then they drug me in on top of it. So we got Lori from Two Chicks in the Boat. She's always on here.
Tell a little bit about what they got going on coming up in a few months.
Yeah, they've got Two Chicks in a Boat fishing tournament that it is a women's tournament, and so I have not talked to her here this week or towards the end of last week or anything like that. We're trying to figure out a boat ramp that they could use. I think we figured it out, but yeah, they're going to be doing their first tournament ever on Chickamauga Lake. So let's see. Brian said using that redneck slip and slide. That's exactly what it was. So, but Jonathan said he almost pissed himself of laughing. Yeah, he was standing on the dock saying, well, get up and get the boat. And so, yeah, he was no help. But he was just the commentary. So, but yeah, we seen one this past week. It happened to be another pontoon boat down the river that the current, I mean, they just hadn't had the generators going. They've had 10 floodgates going, and that current, there's no reason to be putting a pontoon boat in at the river park when they've got it going like that. And these people tried. But the funny thing about it is the lady that was in the SUV, she had her SUV all the way in. I mean, the water was up to the bottom of the door.
The back tires were actually about 2 foot lower than the water line on the boat ramp.
Yeah,
they had a trailer sitting in so far that when the guy
you couldn't even see the bumper on it, right?
It wouldn't even connect with the bumpers.
No, and it was horrible. So we seen that. Also seen this dude. I gotta give this dude props. I think I sent you pictures of it. Last year, this dude took like the foam that you take on for siding to keep like the noise and stuff like that from the siding. He took like maybe like 3 layers of it, and he had a paddle. He had like a fold out chair that he put on it, and the back behind his chair he had like a cooler, and he had. I mean, he wanted to go fishing, but he didn't want to fish from the bank, so he he ended up was out just I got some pictures. I'll next live I'll try to remember to post some to show the pictures. They were just funny. But we've seen where boats have gone through the tailgates of boats. It's just been crazy. Seen boats that come back with somebody forgot to put the plug in, and the boat sunk at the dock.
The plug thing that actually happens.
It happens more often than people think,
and it happens to guys that are pretty good at what they do too.
Yeah.
You know, it's so easy to forget to leave the plug out, and knock on wood,
Yeah.
I've never actually forgot to leave the plug to the point where I actually almost a couple times and stopped and checked right before I backed the boat in. But I've actually known people that really good fishermen knew what they were doing back in. I mean, just left it out, not thinking, thought it was in, it was out, and then it's a scramble trying to get the car back down and get the boat back on the trailer before you can't get it up enough to get it on the trailer.
Yeah. We got Killing Baits is on with us. What's up, brother? Thanks for watching.
What's going
on? Speaking of one, I got one last one that happened here this last summer that I think you were out already, and we were fishing out of Nickajack. I had my dad with me, and so we hooked my boat up, first thing we do is I check all the straps, check the lights and stuff like that. My dad will go on and put the plug and do the troller, the motor mount, the motor trolley on. And so we get there, and Josh happened to be at the ramp, and I go over there and chit chat because Josh had called me and asked me if I had some baits that he was needing, and so I gave him some baits. My dad went and unstrapped everything, and so he puts me into the water. Well, I'm sitting there just kind of waiting and waiting in the water, just had my spot lock on, and some odd reason I put my water into my cup holder down at my feet, and something caught my eye, and I looked down my water, and the water was doing this. And so I was like, oh crap. So I lift up the bottle because I thought that the bottle might have got a hole in it or something. And then, because I got 2 cup holders and a vent in between. So I look in between the vent, and the water's almost to the top of that vent. I'm hollering at my dad, and my dad's just bebopping around, getting to the dock. And I'm hollering at him saying, hey, get the trailer. And he's like, okay. So he turns around, and he's just moseying back up to the truck. And so as he's moseying, there's another dude that's coming. And so, or this other dude's like doing something to his boat. He stops and chit chats with the dude at the boat. And I'm like, I holler. I said, I need you now to get my trailer. And so we spent with the bilge pump going and with the drain plug out, because when he was unstrapping everything, he accidentally pulled the drain plug out. And so we spent 25 minutes, had that much water with the bilge pump going and the drain plug draining. Took 25 minutes to get that water out.
And what's funny, if you ever have to drain your water when you get a lot of water in like that by leaving it out or just leaving it out in the rain or however you might get the water in, it's kind of funny too, because it seems like it comes out a hell of a lot slower than it goes in when you actually do leave it. It seems like it fills up pretty quick, doesn't it?
Yeah. We got Mike Lindo on here also.
Mike is the Big Nasty.
That's right. And Mike, if you want to scroll up in the comments, there might be a comment that has your name on it. So just saying that. But we got Matt and Zach, ZK Customs. What's up, Zach, man?
Zach?
I tell you, Zach, this past week, Zach has had a heck of a week. In 4 days, he done 2 tournaments and won both tournaments.
Killing it. Awesome.
He has been pulling in some fish. So
keep stroking them.
Let's see. Killing Bates says Sebago Lake Marine or Maine. Let's see. Raymond launch is gold for boat ramps fails. I have never been to Maine. I would love to go up there and fish in Maine when it's summertime.
Yeah.
But us southern
cold
boys
out here and it's 40.
Yeah, us southern boys don't like the cold too much. So but yeah, we let's go on down to.
You think I'm going down in a couple of days to Florida because I want a guide? I'm going to get out of this crappy cold weather.
And well, say Dennis Crenshaw said, I had my bass boat pulled up on the bank at Horny Pond Canal.
That's Horny Pond Canal.
Yeah, at the
lock. Again, this is a PG show.
Yeah. The other boaters spent around at the bank. Wash sunk his boat. Oh goodness! He said, "Thank God they was working on the locks." And he said they lifted my boat out of the water and followed me to the boat ramp. I tried to give them $200 and they wouldn't accept it. So, dang, that's bad. So at least they were willing to help you, Dennis.
Yeah.
Mike Wendell said, "Great show, guys. Norman, if you're down south, let's hit the Swamp Bruiser, bullet speed worm catching bigs."
Yeah. And also, Mike, we want to hook up with you this July. We're gonna actually go down in Florida again for ICAST, but we're gonna spend about 5 or 6 days in South Florida, and we're getting back down to the swamp, down to the Everglades again. Definitely, we hook up with you when we get back down there, Mike. This go around, though, when I get down, it's gonna be so crazy for me. It's kind of just guiding. Not gonna get a lot.
It's gonna be a quick trip, though.
Yeah, it's 2 weeks, and right now I have pretty much most all the days booked. I do still have some openings if anybody's interested, but yeah, it's going to be a quick and it's going to be pretty busy. I'm not going to have a lot of time for a lot of other extracurricular fishing activities. But yeah, in July, definitely, Mike, we want to hook up with you and possibly maybe get down there together and do some fishing.
He says July, big nasty time. Yeah. We done some damage last year with it.
And, and that's one thing, because when we got to the Glades last year, we didn't really have a lot of time. We had to come off the water by 12 o'clock?
Noon.
Yeah, because that was our last day, and we had to shoot right back, and we didn't get to throw a lot that we really wanted to because of the time restraints. But this year we got to chunk in the Everglades, because that's originally where those big nasties were kind of thought of by Mike Lindell, and they were actually designed by Mike. With a lot of the legends of the Glades back in the day, like John Payton, and I don't have the names right in front of me, so I don't want to say a lot of names because I'll leave somebody off. But a lot of the legends of the Glades is that it actually was throwing those really long worms down there, dating back all the way into the 70s. And so that's kind of where that worm was actually keyed on, is down in the Glades.
Yeah. Hey, Norman, let's do this. Let's go to the next thing. Let's talk about fishing during a lightning storm.
Okay. A few weeks ago, we actually were talking a little bit about our last July, when we actually went to headwaters and got blown off the lake pretty rapidly by a severe thunderstorm. And you learn different things, and you're always learning. As a fisherman, we are always learning. We're always trying to take in information that we hear, we see others go through. I show up at the boat ramp. First thing I do is I turn on my ears and just look, because you're always going to learn. I don't care how good you get in life or in fishing, or no matter what you do. Not necessarily fishing, but no matter what you do, you never are going to stop learning. So I always have my ears turned on anywhere I am, but always learning from different people's experiences as well. And on our way, this lightning storm coming up and on headwaters, it came up on top of us. I mean, just like that. So first thing I do when we decide, we got to go, we got to get back to the boat ramp. First thing I done was I turned all my electronics off in my boat.
Well, explain why you want to turn off your electronics.
A lightning storm is basically electricity in the sky. Okay. And I'm going to give you a cut. And I don't like talking about this because they weren't close friends of mine, but they were acquaintances that I've met in the fishing industry. I actually met him when I was working at Lake Placid Marine, running their showroom, their tackle department. And I had a lot of customers, and they come from all over the state of Florida. Of course, Lake Placid has a lot of club tournaments from all over the state that actually, because we had so many lakes right in that vicinity. So almost every weekend we're having anglers from Sarasota, depending on where their clubs are from. And I don't know exactly. I think the club was out in Naples, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But I just talked to their president of their bass club at that time. Always came in almost every time they were in town. They come in to get supplies. Well, he actually came in to buy some bait and tackle from me about a week before their club tournament on Lake Okeechobee.
Yeah.
Okay. And of course, talked to him, spent probably 10, 20 minutes just talking to him at the counter. And he went on, wishing him luck in the tournament next week. Well, about 2 weeks later, or actually pretty quick out, within a day or two after it actually happened, I started hearing stories about a fisherman in Okeechobee got struck by lightning. One of the anglers didn't make it, and the other angler got tossed and is in critical condition, but ended up surviving. And I finally got the whole story of exactly what happened. Well, lightning storm coming up, and they were idling out of an area, trying to get up on plane to run away from it and seek cover. Well, the lightning storm was way off in the distance. It wasn't on top of them, but you could hear this thunder cracking. So their boat ended up getting hit as they were just idling, trying to get in deep enough water to. If anybody's familiar with the Lake Okeechobee, there's a lot of areas where it's just so shallow you have to idle. Sometimes when the water's down, you have to idle for a half a mile before you get enough water to get on plane. Well, they were actually idling to get in deep enough water. They got struck. Now, what happened was it threw both anglers out of the boat. It threw the driver, or the boater, and his co-angler. It killed the boater instantly when he got thrown. According to the autopsy, he was killed instantly. His co-angler got thrown also, got in critical condition, but ended up surviving. Okay. Now, here's where this story gets a little bit kind of, I guess you could say a little scary. The very next year, okay, the same club had their same tournament back down on Okeechobee. All right. The year before, the vice president now of the club back then now was the president. He took over for the gentleman or the boater that ended up, losing his life.
Yeah.
So now the vice president is now the president of the club. Guys, same scenario. This is a little spooky when you think about it. It was the same month, same tournament, same day. With of course, the date was like 2 or 3.
It was about the day off. It was
about a day off,
the day,
but it was the
forward.
exact 1 year to the date.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you got let's see. Michael Wendell says, "I jump in the rod lockers."
Yeah, right.
So
Hey, and I'd probably fit in the rod locker too, as skinny as my ass is. But anyway, get back to the story. Another storm blowing up, and they actually were on plane, jumped on plane, and was traveling 50 miles an hour, trying to run away from it to seek cover. Lightning tracked them down, hit. Both of them was ejected out of the boat, killed instantly the boater.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, Steve Dial says that he was there that day fishing with Devin. It was between Coot Bay and East Wall.
All right.
It was an insane lightning. When we got to the ramp, there were ambulance there.
Yeah,
so,
okay. All right.
And he said it was the second week in June when that happened.
All right. Yeah, and I wasn't sure exactly where it was on the lake.
Yeah.
But the very next year, same deal. But I'm going to get away from that story because, again, I hate talking about it because it's such a tragic thing. Yeah. But 2 years. But anyway, here's what I'm getting at: is both those lightning strikes killed the boater sitting hanging onto the steering wheel. Granted, they both probably had all their electronics on at the time. Lightning seeks electricity, which your whole console is nothing but electricity going on. Your electric brains of your boat is behind your steering wheel, and it all goes back to the battery. But both of those lightning strikes hit. I mean, it seeked out the electricity in the boat, which went directly to the console. Okay, so that's one of the things that I took from that is anytime you hear lightning storm going on and you're trying to seek cover, you're in your boat, turn off all your electronics, because your electronics is electricity and lightning is a conductor of electricity. Yeah. So turn your electronics off if you're ever in that situation. Here's another thing I'll add to it too. Talking about, now this is a little bit different subject, but it kind of falls into the same category as tornadoes. I was fishing it was back then it was called the Costa Series, and today it's the Toyota Series with the FLW. Fishing the Costa Series, it was day one of the event on Okeechobee, and that morning we were having 35 some mile an hour winds, and there was tornado warnings going off all over the place. Well, they actually sent the anglers out. Of course, they had a meeting before and announced, everybody be safe. Don't just, safety comes first, and they sent everybody out. Well, there's actually, during the day, there was like 8 or 9 tornadoes spotted by anglers on the lake. As a matter of fact, I'll get to what I'm getting out of this story is I was in the weigh-in line getting ready to weigh my fish, and I was actually in the weigh-in line standing right behind Scott Martin, and Scott was talking about he actually had a tornado. He actually had to jump on his motor, crank it up, and power down to run away from a tornado, and he looked back, and that tornado was actually following him in his tracks of his boat. So now again, typically with the tornado, you don't put lightning in the same sentence with the tornado. But here's my thinking here is, what if there's actually electricity in tornadoes? Because for some reason, from what he was telling me, that tornado was actually following his boat in his tracks, and he had a maneuver to kind of get away from it. So that's just a thought I had, was how about if lightning has something to do with tornadoes as well, which you usually don't, it's a windstorm, but you don't usually put 2 and 2 together with lightning and tornadoes. Yeah. What if?
Yeah. So yeah, with that, we're not, by all means, if you have a storm come up on you, get out. I mean, get to safety. If that's getting to the boat ramp, or if that's getting to a covered dock, get out. Don't try to outrun it.
And something else, and I've been in a lot of tournaments where I'm actually seeing the lightning storm come, I'm trying to run for some cover under a dock,
Yeah.
and I'm passing competitors that's still sitting in the middle of the lake with their rods. And you know what? A fishing rod is a conductor of electricity. The last thing you want to do in a lightning storm is hold your rod above your head. And I'm passing competitors that are still fishing with the rod straight up. I'm like, dude, you know what? There's no money that you could ever win that is worth what your life is. And electricity or thunderstorms is nothing to play around with, especially when you're on the water. So yeah, definitely if you ever see something like that or see a storm coming, before it's too late, seek cover big time. Because I've seen it firsthand or through stories. I know what it could do, but yes, nothing to play with, especially when you're on the water.
Yeah, we got John Pate asked, back to fishing questions. Please ask Steve Dow or Mike Lindell. The new speed worm they have developed, does it need to have a nose cone screw? Yes or no? So, which Mike Lindell just commented, said, John, the bullet shape head, no need for screw ons. I do use a small bullet weight when fishing subsurface. So,
Okay. It's good information.
Thanks, Mike, for answering that.
Yep.
Let's see. So I need to take that 9 foot light down. No, I may not have it extended to 9 feet, but I would not take it down. So, but Dennis, if it's that close to where you really, if it's coming up on you, I just get it. Just go back to the ramp.
Yeah.
So, we want to, let's see, we got our logo. We finally got it done. You want to talk about it for a second?
Yeah, let's do it. And another thing too, we actually just got our cups done, and he's gonna actually put a screen overlay, but there's our logo right there. We got our cups done, and we already have people eyeballing our cups, asking about them.
Yeah, we let's see. That's what our logo looks like. So if you see it out, you know what it is. We had a buddy of mine, Bruce Anderson, with Deep South Vinyl. He designed that logo for us.
Yeah,
and he made our cups. Yeah. So let's see. And turn yours around, Norman, to kind of bring it toward. There you go.
Yeah.
So we got some cups. So the reason why we got the cups is because we're not sponsored by Coke or Pepsi or anything like that. So we wanted to showcase our logo and stuff like that. We don't want to advertise for Coke or anything like that. So not right now. If they want to sponsor us,
come on board.
We'll definitely get it. Yeah. But other than that, let's see. Steve Dow said it was designed. No, but I use a screw in 1/8 to a weight to swim. So let's see. Dennis says that he will buy a cup, bring it down, Norman. I'll see if I can get one done for you before Norman heads out.
Yeah.
Dennis. He says, Mike Lindell says, Norman, have you ever thought of asking Byron Childers to take you fishing up there in Tennessee? He catches giant 30+ bags.
You know what? I have not, and that's some good stuff there, Mike. I will talk to him and see if he wants to go have fun. I'd love to get out on the boat with him. I actually been seeing some of his bags he's been sacking on Facebook, and yeah, he's a hammer up here, up around these parts. So yeah, I'd love to get out with Byron one day.
Yeah. So quick question for Mike Lindell: has the spawn started yet? That's what I would like to know.
Oh yeah.
I figured that it has,
Oh yeah.
but with him being down towards the Everglades, just I figured he's already seen it probably for a couple of weeks.
Oh yeah. Well,
So,
here's the thing with South Florida versus up here. Totally different type of deal when it comes to spawning fish. I mean, a lot more weather. I don't want to say really a lot more, but it is weather related in Florida because depending on when it starts, when it ends, fish could actually spawn anywhere from October all the way through April in Florida because of the climate and being that it is all weather related. Uh, Versus like up here, you got about a 3 week window, and that's going to be like late April, early May.
yeah, Michael Wendell said, yes, the spawn is in the glades is going off at Sawgrass Park and Okeechobee.
Yep.
So, do down in Florida, do they spawn more than once down there a year? Because I know here we just have it once a year, which is typically mid March to the end of April. So, if you know that, Norman, I mean, you can.
Yes, yes, the fish will spawn multiple times, and again, there's a lot larger window in Florida, and again, it's all weather related, but it depends on when it starts getting to be the right conditions. Of course, water temperature in Florida is going to be like right at 68, 69 degrees is prime water temperature.
Right.
But the answer to that is yes, they can.
Yeah. Michael Wendell said January through June. So y'all have a pretty good window.
A pretty wide open window. And again, that the prime spawn typically is going to be January. I mean, when you're going to see on average per each year is going to be usually like January through March.
Right.
But again, depending on how soon the weather starts getting right, and it could be anywhere. I've seen the winter actually start getting winter conditions starting in October. And I mean, again, it's all when the weather gets right for them. And it could really, I've seen fish spawn in Florida as early as October and as late as like Mike says, into June.
Yeah.
But typically I see the majority of them up through like April every year, and starting as early as October in different cases, different lakes.
So with that being said, we have been on doing this live for almost an hour and 10 minutes, brother.
I tell you what, time flies when you're having fun and talking fishing.
Mike Lindell says one of the best post-spawn bites anywhere, May through September, big nasty bite on ledges. That here on Chickamauga is a killer bite. That ledge, you can pretty much hear ledge fish all year round, and that bite it stays pretty decent.
Yeah. So, and another thing, talking about the spawn, your pre-spawn and post-spawn, and getting ready to come down Wednesday, which I'm excited about getting back out to. My main guide lake is going to be Placid. Of course, I'm going to be doing trips on Placid June, possibly Estapoga this go around when I come down. But on Placid in general, it is the best fishing during when they are spawning. And what will happen is them fish, Placid's a deeper water lake. There's a lot of it's shell bed driven. That's your number one key bite offshore on Lake Placid is your shell beds. But there's a lot of areas where you got a spawning edge, or the fish will actually spawn on Placid up into Kissimmee grass. So they'll actually go up into the Kissimmee grass, which is on your hard line. But a lot of this Kissimmee grass comes out 50, 60 feet off the hard line. Well, they'll spawn in that Kissimmee grass. But the fish actually, if you find an area in 15, 16, 17, 18 foot of water, and some areas is really, really close to where that edge of that hard line is, where they'll actually go up and spawn in. Well, they will pre-spawn and post-spawn in or on shell beds that is pretty close to the spawning area where they're going to be moving into spawn. So, and what I find is, especially when you're fishing tournaments that time of the year in on Lake Placid or lakes similar to that, you'll see a lot of guys that like to sight fish when they're spawning. Well, here's the thing: you'll spend in some cases you could spend an hour and a half searching for that one fish, that one big fish laying on the bed, and then it might take you another hour and a half to get her to commit. Well, you find a shell bed right off of a spawning flatter spawning area. Well, them fish post spawn and pre spawn on that shell bed.
Yeah.
So you could actually go out and catch pre spawn, post spawn fish with the big nasty. That's my main bait. That time of the year down there is the big nasty, because them big girls that are pre spawning and post spawning is hungry and they're ready to eat big baits. Because what are they doing when they're pre spawn and post spawn them? The pre-spawn fish is feeding their belly because they know once they move in, they're not going to eat for like 3 or 4 days.
Yeah.
And when they come off the bed, they move back out of the same area and post-spawn because now they're hungry because they haven't eaten 3 or 4 days. They just done their he and sheing inside, and they're coming out and they're hungry. So you could legitimately be catching pre and post-spawn fish same time, same place. As you get your pre-spawn fish move into spawn, then you'll have a wave. So you basically, it's a constant rotation. You'll have fish moving in the same time you're going to have fish moving out in the same areas. So with the time it takes you to find and catch one spawning fish, you could actually legitimately have 5 fish that weigh 25 pounds of pre and post spawn within the same time frame that's going to take you to catch that one fish laying on a bed. So that's a good tip if you're a tournament angler and you're having a club tournament that time of the year on Placid, and you get a chance to get out and practice a day or two before, you need to check that out. Try to find shell beds that is close to the edge where they're going to be moving into spawn. I guarantee you, you're going to be catching them pre and post spawn fish a lot quicker than you could catch one fish off of a bed.
Well, that's a good tip, not just for Placid. That's a good tip for
anywhere
in the country. I mean, because fish are going to do the same thing.
Yeah,
I like saying it's 3 stages. Again, you got the pre-spawn, spawn, and post-spawn. But just like what Norm was saying, typically that pre-spawn and post-spawn is going to be in the same general area. So they just they move up and they come back. So just look for that point to where they're setting up for pre-spawn and post-spawn. So we had John Pate said, Norman, good show. Give you a call later. God bless your families.
Yes, sir. Thank you, John.
Thank you, John.
Definitely be calling you, or you call me. Either way, let's sit down and chat, John. It was good hearing from you too, man. Really appreciate it. And those that might not know John has been a big influence with my career from back when I kind of first was getting my feet wet with the sponsorship thing and tournament fishing in general. So John was one of my guys I look up to back in the day. So, and again, the best man you could ever meet, and he is still a legend down there in South Florida.
Yeah. Michael Wendell said, nice talking to you guys. Look forward to your next show.
Thanks, Mike. I appreciate you, buddy.
Thanks, Mike.
We'll be calling you when we get back down there in July. Let's hook up. Let's hit. And that's one thing, I've never got a chance to actually get out on a boat with Mike. Me and Mike's known each other for a long time, and we kind of worked together with Bruiser Bait, both on the Bruiser team. And I'd love to get out on the boat with Mike.
Yeah. So, again, guys, we're going to get off here. We appreciate all y'all coming on. And Mike Lindell says, let's do it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We're going to get off here. Again, we appreciate y'all coming on and chit-chatting with us. That's why we like to talk to our viewers and stuff like that, and have y'all ask questions, answer some questions, and so that's what we enjoy doing. This is like the 4th time that we've done this, and again, we're going to put this on to the Deck Talk Podcast YouTube channel. And this is going to be the little videos between our episodes of the podcast that have our special guest on it. So maybe we can get Mike Lindell on the podcast and have him talk to us about the Big Nasty.
Let's plan on doing that. We already actually have Steve Dial from Bruiser Bait is already going to be on one of our episodes this year. So it'd be awesome to get Mike on another episode and actually be able to kind of talk about the thought process behind him coming up with the Big Nasty.
Sounds good. But other than that, Norman, let's get out of here. We got some other videos we got to take care of real quick. And we hope that y'all have a great week. We will see y'all next Monday around 3 o'clock. As Norman likes to say, 3-ish.
3-ish.
So, but other than that, we're going to get off here and hope to see y'all out on the water.
Next week, keep posted because we will actually come on. We need to come on sometime during the week as it gets closer and kind of give an update on about the time, because it actually, unfortunately, is going to have to be a little bit later than 3 because I actually have a trip. I have a trip next Monday, so the trip probably goes till 4. So look for us next week.
Maybe around 6 o'clock.
Yeah, 6 o'clock would be good.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, we'll do a live sometime during the week to kind of announce and you reminding everybody it's going to be a little bit later than 3-ish next week.
Yeah. So again, we hope to see y'all out on the water, tight lines, and let's live the passion.
Live the passion, guys. Tight lines.